Good afternoon and welcome to the Whiskey Note podcast. We have the most fantastic honour today of being in the wonderful Titanic Distillery in Belfast. Today we have with us a very special guest. This is Siobhán. She is the general manager for Titanic Distillery, and we're going to have a lovely chat with her today about everything Titanic. Welcome, Siobhán. Thanks very much for being on.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to talking all things Titanic.
Good.
Thanks for having us.
So we've been down in the distillery this afternoon with Damien, and we've got a wonderful tour. So again, thank you so much for having us. It was just, words are lost. It was just a phenomenal tour and phenomenal surrounding.
Inside and such a stoic place to be in.
Yep.
Absolutely amazing.
So why don't you tell us a quick bit about yourself? You know, how did you get to be the general manager? Why whiskey? How whiskey?
I'd love to tell you that I've been in the drinks industry for years, but I haven't. Been with Titanic Distillers here just nearly 2.5 years. But I suppose I say this to everybody, my earliest memory about whiskey is my grandparents. And I always sort of say this because it does make me laugh with a big smile, but my nanny Winston on a Saturday night always sat in front of the fire in southeast London drinking Irish whiskey in a Galway crystal glass. So for me, you know, coming into the industry, who used to say, like, you know, is whiskey a masculine or a feminine? For me, it was just, it didn't matter. It's all ages. I think that's the approach that I've brought into Titanic Distillers. As I say, I've come from other industries. I came in here within the finance department 2.5 years ago, and then Julie has become the general manager of the organisation. I would say to everybody, it's a privilege to work here, but it's also like an amazing place. Like, you just look around here, you know, say to people, this is my office.
This is my office. All the windows and all historic sites. Is
phenomenal. I love what you said about the common misconception that whiskey is a very male generated thing. I know you've done some amazing posts around the women in whiskey, and you know, you have some incredible women who actually work here across the entire distillery as well. You know, it's
a lot more women are getting involved into the industry as well.
Yeah,
massively. You know, there's an association, Women in Irish Whiskey, that's run for the island of Ireland. But more important than that, I think I always say to everybody, whiskey doesn't have to necessarily have a demographic. You know, are you, if you're a certain age or a certain sex or etc., it doesn't matter. You know, the beauty about Titanic Distillers, and especially say our blend that, you know, we've tasted today and we sampled, you know, I always say to everybody, you can drink it neat, you can drink it with ice, we can make it into an amazing cocktail, or you can just have it the way that you want it. So I think that's how we define ourselves. And I think, you know, as I said, we've got an amazing team here. We're growing an amazing team. In the last sort of 3 months, we have 5 new starts that started within the team. So our team is really expanding, and, you know, all different aspects being brought to it. And as I said, it's going to help with the current growth that we're experiencing.
Yeah. And I know I saw in the news, and you can talk about it or not talk about it, but I know that you have recently successfully got a lovely investment from
White Rock.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you so much. And we're delighted that, you know, to have that investment from White Rock, an amazing, you know, investment partner to be with. And they see what, you know, our original founding directors, I mean, what Peter Lavery, Sean Lavery, Richard Irvine and Stephen Symington started, you know, with this idea, and where we got to is absolutely amazing. The proof is in this building. You know, with the support of Invest NI and the British Bank, etc., that we were able to get this far. We then realised that we did need a further investment to really channel sales growth, and that's where White Rock have come in. We're delighted with them, and as I said, it's automatically been able just to straight away grow our sales department. And as I said, you know, it's main that growth was going to be easier. It's still hard work, but as I said, we now are getting the right personnel in the right places.
On the back of that, I did read from White Rock, you did get in as a Colin from Diageo.
We did.
JC.
Yeah.
Well, then coming into the team, what's sort of the immediate future? What are you looking to
So
with?
I think, you know, there's 2 ways of looking at it. We're always looking at our presence in our own, you know, where we live in Belfast, and the island of Ireland. JC will head up our UK and ROI sales. Colin's overseen as a CRO. So the idea being is really just to cement what we're good at, what our products, and then obviously the expansion is export. Okay. We all understand, you know, that export is a difficult, you know, it's a difficult wherever you go to, but having those key personnel to help us and work with us, and our vision is really, really important. So as I said, you know, that's the key what we're doing at the moment. we are currently working with 3 different new regions, Poland being one of them, that we have not exported to previously. South Africa we're currently in discussions with, and looking at all those different ideas. We'll park the American situation for not wasting any time.
That's another.
There's a lot of podcasting time at the moment, and all I can say is we're really working with the Irish Whiskey Association, Department of Business and Trade, and our fellow distillers here in the north and the south regarding Trump and the tariffs. But the most important thing at the moment is that we're working towards what our plan is, and as I said, we're seeing really positive responses back from new territories.
Brilliant. Well, we'll get away from the politics. Listen, we'll get on to the whiskey because that's what we're here for today. You've won some incredible awards for this whiskey and for your vodka as well. What way do you see in the next sort of 5-10 years? Do you have any more plans? Is there whiskeys coming out? Is there anything new coming out?
So I suppose, when people ask me, my highlights of being the general manager, I do say that picking up gold in Brooklyn last June for our blend was really significant, really important, because it also, it does show you how well received it's from. And our vodka, as I said, has won awards as well. And for us, it's very important to expand the SKUs. Obviously, Damien is working tirelessly in the distillery to prepare our single malt, and we know that won't be ready for a couple of years. So in the coming months, we will launch our 5-year-old pot still. And that will be a retail SKU, so that will be something you'll be able to buy here in the distillery, online and with our retail partners. We also then have plans for a single malt ourselves that we will do in a retail capacity, and we hope to launch that probably June or July. And then, as I said, you probably see some of our limited editions. What we do with the Pump House series is they're like an ode to the Pump House and to the blend. And we believe that we'll have 2 of those this year. The recent one before Christmas was the OS 7-year-old, which was done with
Stout cask. Wonderful.
Wonderful. So some really interesting, and I'm not going to say, because it's not quirky, but it's things that really will taste your palate in our next 2 releases. And then I suppose for here, for a variety, we do bottle your own. So at the moment, there's a 6-year-old pot still in the bottle your own, and in the next week, next 10 days, we'll have 2 further bottle your owns as well. One of them, I would say to everybody, is a very interesting whiskey. I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but all I can tell you is think Fireball and think.
Oh goodness.
But more reserved.
Okay.
But let's just say when we did our blind tasting with it a couple of weeks ago, it got 100% from everybody around us. So
we'll be back in 10 days.
10 days. But yeah, so it'll be our bottle own. And the whole idea about bottle your own is that they're exclusives, and we look at things that are, as I said, slightly different, but not gimmicky or quirky.
Yeah.
But still really good whiskey.
Yeah.
But something that potentially you might not just be able to buy off the shelves.
That's amazing.
And the bottle your own, you can do it in the distillery here.
Yeah, so you come downstairs to the gift shop, and the guys will get you to bottle your bottle, etc. And then you give a certificate and you write the book. It's really nice, buy it for yourself, but also we have people that buy them for like gifts for weddings, for special birthdays, etc., leaving presents and stuff. As in you sign the book and you also sign the label.
Podcasts.
Brilliant.
Podcasts. No, that's wonderful. And again, sort of touching on the barrel as well, we know you have the 401 Club as well.
So our 401 Club is our cask investment scheme. So there's 401 casks of the new make spirit being made next door. There's lots of benefits to it. And as I said, one, you're buying a piece of history. We are the first working distillery in Belfast since Prohibition, so it's the first new make spirit to come out of it. And as I said, then also, there's lots, you store it for 7 years, and then we will help you bottle, etc., decide what you want to do in 7 years' time. And then also there's sort of like, you get exclusive releases, you'll know before, the rest of our mailing list know about things. So as I said, it's a really nice club to have. And as I said, any more details, people can just contact me directly.
Fantastic. That's amazing. No, we did look into it as well, because I think it's always been something that me and you have always looked at as well.
Investment.
And it's more like trying to understand it as well. And you have a fantastic booklet downstairs that actually explained it very nicely for me. I was just sitting while we were waiting in the guest area, and I was reading through it. And the possibilities, I think, with it are endless. I think it is a very strong investment for people to make.
It is, and I think for people, like some people have bought them to have as an asset to give to potentially children or family members, etc. I have a gentleman who's bought one, and his determination is that he will bottle it when his daughter gets married, to have a special occasion, and other just genuinely real whiskey lovers who want to be part of Titanic Distillers. And as I said, it's an amazing club to be part of.
That's fantastic. And I have to say, like, the venue that you've got set up here, just the visitor center in itself, let alone the distillery. I know we were talking previously about some of the events that you're putting on in this, fantastic space, and how you're trying to be a wee bit more unique. Yeah. And you can talk about that, because I thought that's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. So I suppose, primarily we opened 2 years ago in April 2023 as a visitor centre attraction. So we're now in tourism season, started on the 1st of April. So we're open 7 days a week. We run 7 tours a day, which you can either pre-book online or you can come in and walk into the distillery. As you'll see when you come in, we have an indoor cafe with variety of scones, etc., and obviously a working bar. So that's our day job, as we would say. So then obviously over the last year, 18 months, as you said, it's a really unique space. So we've had lots of inquiries about corporate events. So we've had staff leadership days here, we've had staff barbecues, we've had 30th wedding anniversaries. We were delighted to host 2 weddings in the summer there.
Wow.
Yeah, so and to have somebody to completely trust us with their wedding day was amazing. As you can see, it's a quite unique space. So this year already the calendar's really filling up. In August of last year, 2 of the sort of local in the Belfast dancing promoters, which is the Night Institute and Plan B, we all came together and we held what we would say like a summer party here, which was an outdoor and indoor event. We had DJs on from 5 p.m. until the early hours of the morning. And as I said, but with that then we have started to host other promoters here. So as I said, it is effectively known as Siobhán's Rave Cave.
Siobhán's Rave Cave.
I said it's not. But
It should be renamed as that now.
But more importantly, it's about using this amazing space and being respectful to it, but also potentially bringing people down here that maybe are whiskey drinkers or, are looking, wouldn't come down here for a tourist, or I don't know why they wouldn't, but, we're trying to load that. So we've had artists from, local artists. In the coming months, we have some, international artists coming to play here. And so that's going to be some really sort of good nights going to be released in the coming weeks. But as I said, primarily both aspects of the visitor centre can work together. So daytime visitor centre, then evening time, either corporate events, dance nights. I mean, we had a charity gala ball here, organised by Sarah Campbell 2 weeks ago. 115 people, sit down 3-course meal. Paddy Raff was here. So I mean, I say to everybody, a bit like our whiskey, we don't say it's a certain sector. So this building should be used and can be used for a variety of events.
Because I saw one of the events coming up is Stephen Wally. I always pronounce. Yes. I have done a whiskey event with him before with Method and Madness. Yeah. If you are coming down to do that event, it is fantastic. Yeah. He is wonderful, and the painting experience in itself. We did the floating paper where you dip it into oh my god, it's a fantastic experience.
We're going to do Holland and Wolf that night. So what we do is we try to look at local artists or that we can do nights. So we've had pottery nights here before. We've and so this is Stephen's second night with us. So you'll come, have some really nice drinks while learning to do painting with them as well. So as I said, the vision we have for this building is that it should be able to accommodate anything that's respectful to the building and in keeping with what we're trying to do. And as I said, having Stephen down is brilliantly. Some other key events is obviously Easter Saturday in conjunction with Plan B and the Night Institute again. And on the fence, we are rolling out an Easter Saturday party from 5 p.m. till 2 a.m. in the morning. As I said, using the outdoor and indoor space. So if anybody out there has any faith, let's look for better weather, keep this weather going. But again, it's bringing people that, from 18 plus, I mean, up to, there's no age limit here. So as I said, we're really just trying to use the space. And I think in a really positive way. We love working with our local community. And we're very proud of where we are. We're very proud of where we're situated. People always say to me, Siobhán, where you're from, because your accent's so bizarre. And I said, look, I'm not going to the 20 years of where all the places I've lived. I've lived in Belfast for the last 14 years. And I'm a very proud person from Belfast. And I think Titanic Distillers is very much about that as well.
Absolutely. And again, I think the sort of penultimate thing for that is it just shows, your involvement with our local ice hockey team. And if you ever go to the SSE Arena to watch a match, you need to see the Titanic bar that's been set up there. It's just fantastic, and I think it was really well done. We were there for a concert recently, and it was
It's actually you that said that to me. I went down and tried it. It was an unbelievable setup.
so all about community.
It is. And I mean, as I said, that, and it's great because, I get asked this question all the time, why do you have a distillery? You could just, why? Whiskey, we all know, can be blended and made by somebody else. Why do? Because this is our home.
Yeah.
And this is our heart. And at the end of the day, this is why we're so proud of it. And if you haven't been down to visit the distillery, whether it be for a tour or for one of our events or for one of our dance nights, or even just to come down and have a coffee with us, then please do come down. I think the welcome you get down from the team downstairs is amazing. And as I said, the sun's out, the picnic lunch is out. Come and have a cup of tea or have a whiskey and apple and mint. And also what you'll see is in the coming months is a lot of activations around Belfast City Centre as well, as TD presents, where we're going into bars and bringing a wee bit of what we do here into certain bars, into some bars in the town as well. Because I think there are more people that sort of see what we do. We're a whiskey brand, a very proud whiskey brand, but we're also all the trimmings that comes with it.
Yeah. The historic side, as soon as you come in, you see the HMS Caroline. Stands out straight away. Then you got the dry dock and everything, so it's an amazing venue, absolutely fantastic.
No, well, Siobhán, listen, we don't want to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much for having us down today. We really do appreciate it. It was fantastic.
Okay.
So, Damien, welcome to the actual podcast itself. Thank you so much for doing the tour today. It was absolutely fantastic. We feel really, really sort of honoured just to be brought down here and for you to go out of your way and take so much of your time to bring us around the distillery itself.
It's my pleasure. Happy to have you.
Brilliant. Great experience to see everything that you have to go through on a daily basis and everything we do with the whiskey, from the grain itself to the new make to where we are, obviously. From grain to table, pretty much.
We've had Siobhán on, and she's talked about the events in the distillery itself and the sort of the more general management side of things. But we have you on because we're here to talk about the thing that's important.
Absolutely.
And that's your whiskey. So we've got 3 whiskies lined out here in front of us to try today. Do you want to start us off? Where do you want to start? Or
Yeah.
Yes, no problem. We'll start off with our blended whiskey, which is this bottle here with the black label. So that's our, like I said, blended whiskey.
Yeah.
That's our, what we would say, like our everyday whiskey. That's available in the likes of your Tesco's and your off licenses and different things. And that's our first whiskey that we've released and our core product. It's a blended whiskey. So some people have an idea of what a blended whiskey might be, but all whiskies are blended unless it says single cask on the label.
Yeah.
So, but specifically this one is a blend of grain whiskey and malt whiskey, and then within that, the grain with 2 types of cask. So the grain whiskey's been matured in 2 different types of cask, and then within the malt, it's been matured in 3 types of cask. So really, there's 5 types of casks that are all blended together to create, in different proportions, to create this product here. We're pretty proud of it.
Yeah.
It's quite complex, and it's hopefully it'll really want to try and get that into as many hands as we can, and to sort of celebrate Belfast.
Was there a thought process behind the everything that got into the blend? Because I heard you saying earlier that there's a little bit of peated in there as well.
Yes, so like I said, those 5 types of casks within the grain, 32% of it goes into new virgin oak casks. So that lifts a lot of colour and a lot of that sort of vanilla, caramel flavours. And then the other percentage is in American bourbon casks. We get a lot of that bourbon influence. And then in the malt element, which is 28% total, 10% of that is peated single malt.
Yes.
So peated, I know you're maybe not a fan, but
not fine yet, but I'll get there.
but we tend to use that peat as as an ingredient, to help amplify other flavours and sort of balance as well. It's used as almost like a whisper or like a wisp of smoke. It's more like barbecue smoke as opposed to sort of heavy phenolic peatiness that you might get from other Scottish distilleries or other Irish distilleries.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's just an ingredient,
Just a hint.
like a seasoning. The other malts in there are double distilled 7-year-old single malt, and 3% is sherry cask. So you get a nice bit of sweetness, a bit of smokiness, a bit of body from the double distilled, and then you get that heavy cask influence then from the grain whiskies. So we're pretty proud of it, and we think it's a very complex blend. So
This one here then, is it? Yes.
that's the first one, yeah.
Fresh one.
So on the colour, you can see it's golden aroma.
Yeah.
If you swirl it around your glass, you'll see a few oils in there.
Yeah.
I think it's time for those oils to go down.
Good legs on it.
Legs.
Yeah, good legs.
Legs are writer's tears, yeah. So yeah, it's usually a signifier that it's
You can
nailed.
you can smell that. Again, I know, and I know you're trying to change my mind, and to be honest,
Yeah.
this might change my mind. But I know that I'm sort of
We'll ease you in.
yeah.
We'll ease you in.
This is a good way. This is a good way.
We'll ease you in with 10%.
So are you picking up any particular aromas on the nose there?
I'm getting very peat. I'm actually getting a lot of peat out of it.
For 10% of the makeup, it's the peat is definitely forefront on the nose.
Yeah. Getting a little bit of, I said earlier, I think I'm getting a little bit of blood orange and bitters. Right. I don't know why that came to my mind.
Yeah, well, there's single malt in there, so it's very
Yeah.
very possible. Yep. I think personally, I get like almost like figs and almonds and
Almonds.
things like that. Yeah.
A bit of marzipan, something like that.
Yep.
You said marzipan before, and again, as soon as you said it, it's sort of stuck in. But again, that's that sort of figs and stuff like that.
Power of suggestion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we would recommend when you're tasting it, maybe hold it in your tongue for maybe 5 or 6 seconds.
Mhm.
Let it move around and then swallow it and take a huge inhale of oxygen. And
Okay. Wow.
saying that's good, isn't it?
That is lovely.
That's beautiful. This is a really interesting thing. Even though I was getting a very overpowering smell of the peat, it's not overpowering taste. It's
Well,
It's on the finish. The peat is on the finish for me anyway.
Mhm.
But that's lovely.
that is yeah.
it's a very, very subtle peat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it really is.
It's I think you're getting more of that sort of biscuity and notes first, and then that peat is just right there in the back of the top.
Yeah.
Give that a
As you
short
say,
rest.
as an ingredient.
Yeah.
As an ingredient.
We sort of use the peat as like an expression of Belfast. So if you think of 100 odd years ago when this building was in use, like Belfast is a very heavily industrialised city.
Yeah.
So it would have been smoke and peat everywhere. You know, it would have been a very smoky town. Houses were heated with coal fires and different things. So we kind of use that as a bit of a marketing thing almost. That
Yeah.
Belfast style, that sort of peaty.
It's definitely worth
I
it.
think that's why I do love a bit of a peated whiskey, because and I didn't go on holidays as much. I went down south and then the bars, and they always burn and they always have that smoky smell, and it just reminds me of going away when I was a kid and has that nostalgia to it.
And your surname's Burns.
Surname is Burns, yeah. So I do like that, and for me that's a lovely blend of whiskey. Absolutely phenomenal.
Fantastic, yeah. No, absolutely. I think you've made a bit of a fan here. That's a good way to intro into it. As that was, yeah.
So downstairs in the bar there, we serve this with we call our signature serve. So I'd recommend you just go down and try that. You know, from the horse's mouth. You know, right here.
Yeah.
It's our signature serves. We serve that with like appetizer and mint.
Siobhán said something about the appetizer mint. That sounded
Appetizer, yeah. Right, okay.
So we'll have to try that and head down.
absolutely.
So we call that our signature serve, and we feel it really amplifies the flavours. So the second whiskey we've got here in front of us, which is this middle one, that's a new product that we're going to be releasing now the next week or two. It's on the bottling line as we speak.
Okay.
It's a 5-year-old pot still whiskey. So for people that aren't familiar with pot still uses a different mashing technique in the brew house. So we use malted and unmalted barleys to create a different mash and therefore a different wash. It's distilled in the same fashion, but the ingredients in the mash is different. It's unique to Ireland, so Ireland have the geographical indicator for pot still.
Right, okay.
And no other distillery in the world can really create that. They call it pot still. So we have that right, and I think it's a nice thing to have, and because
Absolutely.
if you're a fan of pot still whiskey, it's a lovely drop. I think famous examples are Redbreast,
Yeah.
Ale, and the spots.
Which, again, I'd spoke about in the podcast because originally when Green Spot would be probably one of the first whiskies that I was introduced to, and probably one of the
Friends was weirdly buying too.
And a spot whiskey for me, I always thought spot just meant single pot, but it's not.
Yeah.
The pot is its own thing, and then it's just they call it a spot because they put a spot on it. So
That's right.
yeah, but no.
That was like a blender's tool just to identify certain casks.
Yeah.
A blend. Yeah. So, like I said, it's a 5-year-old pot still. So it's spent its full maturity for 5 years in an ex-bourbon cask. It hasn't been finished, nothing else. So it's just literally 5-year-old pot still, 5 in ex-bourbon casks. Some people might consider that a bit young for a pot still, but if you had a young whiskey, it has different flavour
But yeah, that's it. I mean, if you
flavor profile.
if you're going to bring something out, you bring it out when it's ready. Is it? You were talking about it earlier on.
So on the colour, it's slightly paler than the blend. It's probably due that the blend has a lot more of the virgin oaks. So you can see it's a nice little hue to that. Still what you would consider whiskey. It's not clear. It's in that sort of golden colour. Got way more legs on it. You can see it's a more robust whiskey. Those legs are taking their time to make their way down into the glass. So on the nose.
Oh, that's sweet.
Oh,
that's really sweet.
see that then we're in my realm. I love it. This
That's really, really sweet.
So I'll not preload you with any flavours that I'm getting.
What's the?
Interested to hear what you think.
There's an overwhelming one that I'm getting.
Getting a lot of dried fruits? Or is that just me?
Right or wrong answers.
That's a lovely smell. I just done a Dave and
I'm trying to find the thing the fruit I'm looking for here.
it's lovely.
I suppose personally, I always like associate aromas with food.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that smells like my granny's apple tart. It's fresh out of the oven, and that sort of
See,
buttery
again,
pastry.
horror suggestion. You've just said apple, and that is the genuinely no. It's the overpowering. I say overpowering in a nice way. It's that
dominant flavour.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
And I've got the actual smell in my eye. It's Cactus Jack. It's apple sours. That's exactly what's. It's that. It is. It's apple sours. That's why I couldn't immediately hit on apple because there's a bit of the apple sour in it.
Candy
to
apple
me.
type of thing?
Yeah.
Personally, I feel like it's apple tart.
No, yeah.
A real buttery pastry, and like my granny liked a lot of sugar and a lot of butter in her pastries, and that to me is just what I'm smelling. A little bit of clove in there too.
Yeah. Now that you suggested that, I can smell the clove out of it.
No, it's definitely apple for me.
It's apple.
Yeah, it's that sort of it's you're talking about coming back to apple tart and stuff like that. This is bringing me back to my 20s when I was going out and Cactus Jack that would have been a pre-drink for me. That would just been
Pre-drink.
just that bottle by itself.
Pre-swap.
So it's got that
That's wonderful.
it's got that traditional hostile spiciness to it. That would come from the unmalted barley. That pepperiness at the back of the tongue. That's like of the style of pot stills. Pepperiness.
I can't wait for this one to come out.
Followed through with the sweetness too. I think it's there's a lot of mouthfeel in there. Like it lingers in the mouth for quite a while.
That's something I said about the green spot and stuff like that. I found it sits for a while, and again, it's what maybe sort of makes it almost a really good sipping whiskey because you're not having to constantly reload. You're getting to sit there, and as it sort of matures in your mouth, you're getting a different taste, it just stays there, it lingers, and it's wonderful. It's really, really nice.
Lovely, Jamie.
If you want, you can add a little drop of water to it to really
Yes.
send it up.
I've got the wee one I prepared earlier. I'm sorry, I kind of drank a little bit more. You can see the one I enjoy yellow.
If you want, you can have that one.
No.
So, the water helps really open up some of those flavour compounds.
Oh yeah, you get more of the butter now coming out.
Maybe my nose just isn't as refined yet. I'm just still getting apple, but that's just me.
It's very spicy on the tongue, very, very spicy, and it's lingering there for a while. It's a beautiful, beautiful whiskey.
Yeah, we're pretty proud of that one. So the reason we've sort of come up with this this particular one is we do a series of releases called the Pump House series.
Yep.
Because we're based in the Pump House here. We wanted to release a range of whiskies that we've created or have had a hand in here on site. And last year we released 5-year-old pot still finished in a PX sherry cask. It was just one cask and it sold out in 10 days, I think it was. And but we all loved the base.
Yep.
The base liquid. So then we decided, well, let's release it as a core SKU because we all loved it so much. And I'm personally proud of that one. I think it's a lovely drop.
So this is going to come into the core range there, yeah?
So
Oh wow, okay.
is it say this on the shelf alongside our 5-year-old pot still. So
It's fantastic.
like I said, it's on the bottling line right now.
It's in the bottle line right now. Because I know you said you could do it downstairs for the brew your own bottle, but when is it for like general sale?
It's coming out very soon. Like it's going through the bottling. It'll be into our distributors and right onto the shelves pretty quickly.
Fantastic.
Guys, if you're listening, I recommend that.
Oh no, all 100s like that'll be known in my collection. Because again, I said, big fan of a pot still. Didn't know an awful lot about them. You've answered so many questions there on stuff that I just didn't know about pot stills. So, again, I'm not guessing anymore. But that's wonderful. And again, thank you for bringing that again.
My pleasure.
For letting us have a go at it before it hits the shelves. That's a real treat.
We have another release coming up, but that's not until maybe September time. I haven't got a sample of it, unfortunately, but it's a age statemented malt. So it's a 8-year-old malt, a blend, and there's 4 types of casks in that blend. So we're looking forward to that. Keep your eyes peeled for that one.
I will do.
The last whiskey we have here in front of you is this one here, which is this bottle.
The ST07, I think.
Yeah, so that's right. So that's part of that Pump House series. We released that before Christmas. So part of my job is to come up with these releases and finding the right sort of whiskey to finish in and what to finish with. It'll be a bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But the inspiration for it was I was told, okay, we're going to release something before Christmas, and so I sat myself down and thought about what would I like to drink at Christmas, and for me it's Christmas time. I sit in front of the TV watching Home Alone,
Shrek.
big bucket of sweets, bought a crisp or like cheese boards and different things. So something will go really well with that, and Imperial stouts are just, for me, that's Christmas time. Dark stouts, heavier.
Yeah.
Something that you share. You don't drink it all on your own. Like you share it with somebody, and then a whiskey that would go well with that.
You sure?
So the 7-year-old malt that we have used for that is actually the 15% element that's in our blend. I had a deconstructed samples in my office there, and I tried it. I think 7-year-olds are fantastic. I think I really should do something with that. So then when it came to finishing it I knew I wanted an Imperial Stout cask. We're trying to find one at the right time. Bit of a challenge. So I rang around a couple of local breweries to find out when we got Imperial Stout in cask, and if they do, when it was going to be taken out for bottling.
Yep.
And turned out our brewery, which is based in Mandlestown, it was the perfect time, and they had their casks or their beer in a bourbon cask for 20 months. It's almost 2 years. Beer resting in a cask almost 2 years is pretty much unheard of.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, those casks are going to be, full of flavour.
Yeah.
So they were literally taking the beer out that week that I was speaking to them. So as soon as the casks were emptied, I got them straight down, filled our 7-year-old whiskey, and it was matured for 6 months. So it spent a total of 7 years, 8 months and 24 days in the cask. And we bottled it the day of the release. So it was as fresh as it could be. And
Amazing.
so the 7-year-old, it's got the lovely sort of aged malt. It's double distilled, so it's a bit more robust, a bit more body to it. And then it's got the real influence of the
Imperial Stout. And you get the Imperial Stout with that when you buy the box?
We sell them here in the shop. The box is just there. We sell both of them together.
Okay.
So if you find yourself a Friday evening, you can crack the two of them open and enjoy it. It's absolutely delicious. Sorry to say you got to say it was that. So that's the second release in our Pump House series, and then the artwork on the front. Those are portraits of dock workers that were here. There's a photograph down below, and you can see the guys, and we've commissioned portraits of them for releases.
Unreal.
And I take it the 07 ST is just the ST stands for sort of stout, and the 07 is the V8.
Yeah, so years.
Okay.
The next release in the Pump House series, I'll just give you the name of it, but I'm not going to tell you what it is.
Okay.
It's 09mm. So if you can figure that one out, good luck to you.
No.
But I'm going to keep it.
Yeah, we'll keep it on.
Put it on the hat. Yeah.
Madeira.
Yeah,
9-year Madeira.
So we'll maybe try it then. So color-wise, it's quite a bit darker
yeah.
Yep.
than the other two. So it's a bit older. So I spent more time in the cask, and then the influence of the dark stout also have influenced that as well.
Oh, I'm immediately chocolate right off the
Dark chocolate.
Yeah,
I guess
straight away.
That is a
I think that's the first one I've been 100% sure about. That is like, I'm not going to say something, make a fool of myself now. That's the first thing I smell.
Yeah, like dark chocolate and coffee,
Yeah,
espresso. It's like
right up your street.
that was going to say, it's like two of my favorite things right there.
That is a lovely smell. It's very sweet as well, and a little bit of spice to it.
so being double distilled, it hasn't gone through the third still, so it'll be a bit more body to it, a bit more robust, a bit more meaty, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
All those nice adjectives. And then you still get the cask influence, so there's a lot of like vanillas and caramels there, Zoom.
As soon as you say vanilla, I got a hint of vanilla on that. Hey? That's that Paris edition coming in. That's lovely too. Oh. Completely different from the pot still. Completely different flavour. I got a lot of dark chocolate on that with a hint of vanilla, and it has this lingering bit of spice as well too, like a black pepper spice. Yeah, it's a very lovely whiskey.
I think it was around the teeth that day.
Yeah.
Immediately hit me like a lovely, like almost like a proper shot of espresso there as well. Like it's, I know,
Doing in the Sabrina.
one of the things I love doing is if I'm having a coffee, some chocolate with a coffee, or chocolate with a Guinness or something that's a bit more sturdy as well, goes really, really nice. So the first two tastes, that was, oh my, I think that's winning it for me today. Like I know it's not a competition here, but that's just beautiful.
Yeah, whiskey and stout's a winning combination.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely. I love them all, I must admit. You don't have a favourite yourself then? You're a favourite child?
I love all my children.
You love all your children equally? I personally, going by the drink level, I think the...
Well, I was going to say, considering the one that's empty.
the one that's completely empty. I love the stout. The SA7. I even love that one as well for a blend. It is a phenomenal blend because I do like that peated.
I love
On the personal
I
side.
love the story behind the premium one. I love the way that you've tried to encompass the surroundings and where this whiskey has come from and what it represents. It's absolutely fantastic. The pot still, again, I'm just a big fan of pot stills, and when this comes out in the next 10 days or whatever it is, I will be turned to buy a bottle of this because it is absolutely beautiful. I will cheat a wee bit and say that I already have a bottle of this in the house.
We have tried it.
And I have tried it, and again, I knew what I was coming down to. What I will say, and this is something that I find very interesting, and I find this with whiskies, I find you get a better sense of the whiskey and a better taste of the whiskey depending on your surroundings.
Yeah, 100%.
And
yeah.
that had a completely different taste to me in this building, in this sort of, rather than sitting in my kitchen. Like, it was a much
Kitchen.
nicer experience.
Playing poker.
Exactly. No, it really, really was. I think that sort of,
It's maybe a case of you're more grounded. You're focused on what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You know, you've been held hand through it. Like, it's a bit different. I totally agree with you. Like, I myself, I don't generally do analysis on the whiskies here at work because there's too many distractions. I'm worried about stills, mashing, different things, emails coming through. So I tend to do my sensory analysis at home.
Yeah.
When the kids are in bed, sitting on the sofa where I'm relaxed.
Nice,
or sitting
peaceful.
at the kitchen table, just chilled. Have to really focus on what I'm doing, and then I can really, focus on the aromas, the flavors, and mouthfeel and all that.
Really understand what you're tasting.
Yeah.
No, but it's that
All three were absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely. Really, really
100%.
loved all three of them.
I'm really, really looking forward. I know we talked about it on the tour as well, and the tour will be a separate video entirely, but I know that, in the next load of years, there's going to be the first, your first single month, but you're really looking for the baby that's coming out, and I'm really, really excited to see what that.
If these are anything to go by, it's exciting times ahead for you.
Well, you got to try the new make expert earlier on, so
Yeah.
to give you an indication as to where we're going.
It was phenomenal as well.
Yeah, but not only have we got what's here, we've got our bottle your own facility here in the shop. There's going to be 2 products next week, which are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to seeing how people react to that one, and we've got that 8-year-old malt, which I'm really looking forward to. So, and then the next line in the next edition in the Pompeii series, and I've actually just sorted out purchasing casks for one that's next year. So you always have to plan ahead, and
Very, very
it'll be a 10-year-old.
busy. And again, I think that is very indicative of what we've seen today. It's you're not this one trick. We're doing this and we're going to do it well. It's you're putting your hat in the ring and saying, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try this, and you're still doing them very, very well. Everything that's coming out, everything that we've tasted so far,
So
it has a very unique taste to it. It has its own story behind it.
which is the blood, sweat, and years and the.
Yeah, that's
that tattoo
on your ears. I love that slogan. I really think it works well inside the distillery here. Like, I think blood, not necessarily like spilling blood, but it's more about like generational.
Yeah.
The work, traditionally,
The work, the
shipyards,
sweat,
shipyards would have been, generational, father, son, grandson. Distilling works like that too. There's generally, you'll see like the up in Bush Mills of 2 Coopers and their father and son outfit. Sweat sort of goes without saying.
Yeah.
And then the years, the amount of time it takes for maturation, building up their skills and different things. So, I think it's a great tagline for the distillery.
I love that.
Yeah.
And that big bold and white, the black writing with the white background is it's in the face when they come in. It's a fantastic phrase.
That's
So
it.
we're just going to finish off with just a question. If you had to share one of your fantastic whiskies with anyone dead or alive, who would it be, and is there a reason why?
It's a very difficult one to be. There'll be a lot of people, but I think my first ever drink was Jack Daniels, and
Actually.
I remember thinking, wow, this has got flavour, and I'd love to meet the likes of Jack Daniel, like that. He spent a lifetime, perfecting his trade, and really honing his skills and craft to become probably the biggest whiskey in the world. So it's like that. Where do they get their motivation? What gets them out of bed every day? To be able to strive to be the best all the time. And it's just I suppose there's a lot of myth around Jack Daniel, and like it would be nice to hear it from the horse's mouth.
Yep, the stories that he has about it.
It's a better answer than what we had. Had Chad Kroger from Nickelback.
I think I had Nicky Six or
We went down the music side of things. You went down an actual. This is whiskey and a lot of heritage of whiskey as well. And again, that's sort of it talks to sort of your background as well. Because again, I know we were talking briefly downstairs. You and I actually come from a very similar background with engineering.
That's right.
And yet somehow, I know this isn't my career, my profession, but yet somehow we have found ourselves heavily involved with whiskey.
Yep.
And it just goes to show you that, once you find something that you're passionate about,
Yeah, it says a lot for the careers teachers of our schools. I mean, in the past,
the reason I became an engineer is because my careers teacher says, well, what subjects are you good at? And I was like, well, I'm good at maths, I'm good at physics. And he says, oh, you'll be good at engineering. Okay. And that's at the age of 16.
Yeah, it sounds exactly the same for careers advice I had, but failed to mention that just 15 miles down the road was like the Harp Brewery, and it was huge, and it was like, well, that uses chemistry, physics, and it's practical and it's creatives, and but that was never an option, whereas thankfully there's been an explosion in Irish whiskey and in beer as well, so thankfully people are finding their way into these industries that maybe the barrier to entry would have been a bit tougher years ago, whereas now it's a bit lower because of the skills shortage. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting industry to be in.
Yeah, and we said the same thing to Siobhán as well, because I mean, background in finance, and then all of a sudden general manager of, you know, one of Belfast's biggest whiskey distilleries. You know, it's the jump seems huge, but when actual fact, when you look into the detail of it, it's not, because the core skills are there and everything that's there, it's transferable. And
100%.
you know, you're coming into something like this and you're going, you've got an ex-civil engineer as the master distiller, you've got finance as the general manager, you have a bus driver who funded it all. You know, it's the story just alone to get Titanic up and running.
The people behind it are very unique. Yep. Well, Damien, it was an absolute pleasure.
It really was.
Taking us through the tour today, and it was great insight to how whiskey is made, your role as a head distiller, what you do, everything. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you for everything.
Thanks for coming down, MD. Hope you've learned something today.
It definitely did.
We'll do a final cheers to sign off everything, right?
Yep. Oh, and we'll be done it with a sláinte.
Cheers, guys. Last year.
Sláinte.